Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned into the Double RT Boxing Show, being filmed live in the city of Anaheim, California. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Here is your host, Mr.A'S. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thumbs up, support the show. If you're a new viewer, hope you're a new subscriber. And the 260, let's delivering those knockouts, baby. Delivering those knockouts. Now, this segment of the show is going to be a quick Mr.A'S thoughts. We're going to talk a little about the early call-outs, a few random fights I would like to see happen within the first half of the year, and keep it short. That's about it. So early on in the year of 2018, we have heard a few call-outs, and calling out is good. It is good for the sport. It's actually great for the sport, and especially in the social media age, it's super beneficial to boxing. Now, if it is taken advantage of, is the true question of its benefits. Now you figure a promoter job is to get the man fights, the boxer fights, and people always think like the boxer works for the promoter or works for the manager. No, those two individuals work for the boxer. You promoter, I'm paying you money, get me fights. Find me someplace to fight, get me a fight. You manager, I'm paying you to make sure I get the best money for the stuff my promoter finds me. So, that's what it was. And like I said, they work for the fighter who the fighter fights. Now, the call-outs, it's entertaining, It's like when all the chefs out there in the world, they all know how to cook. But what separates them, I guess, when it comes down to who's going to pay the extra dollar for this dish, they eat with the eyeballs, they eat with the eyes. You'll hear, if you hear that saying. So they fancy up the dish. Now, in order, like I said, boxing, it's a / non-sport, It's a prize fight entertainment. Because there really is never no first place in boxing. There's champions that yearly round rotation can go, while all of sports have a season and that's it. So you find out like a winner at the end. Boxing is sports entertainment, but is it really a sport? You notice if you understand that. So for them to constantly wanna get their prize, it's up to them to make it easier for the promoter to get them fights. Like I said, it's not his job to make the fighter popular. It's his job to say, hey, you want to fight in Anaheim Honda Center? It's a pretty good, it holds a pretty good crowd. It could be a small crowd. It could be a half theater. It could be a full 17,000. If you want to fight down there, it's a pretty cheap place. I wish more boxing will come down here. It's just like LA. It's just like Staples Centers, the Forum. You will get that same crowd here. Just without it's not as commotional and busy, but it's the same crowd. Same 17,000 is a good max feeling for boxing. So if it gets that much, it gets that much. But it can be cut in half, just like Madison Square Garden. It has a theater holding and everything. So back to So if the fighter wants to get the fights that he wants to be paid the money he wants, he needs to make it easier for the promoter to get him fights. Just like the chef, what makes him know? Oh, he does a nice whipped cream tower on top of the pancakes. His breakfast is pretty. So, he signatizes him with something visually. They are entertained by that. Even though they're eating it, they're paying for something that's not tasting their eyes. So the boxer, when he's in the ring, he's entertaining our eyes. But the call-outs, just like we got to be visually entertained before we eat the food, we got to be, I guess, what's the word? We got to hear it. We got to. I can't think of the word for ears right now, but we got to hear. We got to be hearingly entertained. And the call-outs, they entertain us. And then we see the little vocal press conferences, the interviews back and forth, the call-outs in there. All that is entertaining. So if they understand that they have to do more than just box, we got perfect examples. Great fighters out there who just are not the entertaining. Perfect examples. We had Vladimir Klitschko for the longest time. You say what you want about his boxing skills in the ring, but he got it done, held it down forever. But he was very dry, humorous on the microphone. He was serious. He didn't call out too much, so it was hard for him to get a fan base outside of to help his heavyweight reign grow. And then if you could throw in and now I say the most genuine person to someone said genuinely, easiest person to nominate is probably Terrence Bud Crawford. How he chooses to give interviews is putting him in the situation he's at right now. It's all on skill to sell him. It's a good selling point, excellent selling point, hard to dissell it. But it's just right now, in the business side of boxing, that is the one thing that is always hard. All those sports are kind of guaranteed. Basically, fans are going to come. It's a seasonal thing. Boxing being year round, you got to constantly be entertaining. You got to constantly be fresh. Other sports, you had a bad season, trade this guy, trade that guy, fix this problem, fix that problem, come back, did you fix it? Boxing, if you ain't hurt, you lose, you win, whatever, especially if you lose. If you ain't constantly being heard of, no, there is no trade to help you get better. Even if you want to, like they talk about trades, keep yourself relevant on social media, on training prods. If you ain't relevant somehow, it's gonna be hard for us to be entertained to see you again. And so that's what the call outs are great for. You got the entertaining factor before the fight. I guess they always say the sizzle before the steak. That's the easiest thing, universal term. I shall say, what else shall we say? This is the Double RT Boxing Show. Thumbs up, support the show, and let's get into the first call out. We had an early edition call outs. So far, the two major call outs will have to be Lomachenko calling out Tank Davis. And then you somewhat had the Lomachenko bleeding with Mikey Garcia relation. So he's trying to start his year on a very good note. Mikey Garcia somewhat answered back on that call out, which made us great stories. You know, it was all over the internet. So that is one call out. We will discuss that. We have a recently called out, or I should say, a recently delayed call out answer. Jared Hurd and S1MAT Lara. Jared Hurd has called out Lara, and Lara has answered that. So that is a nice call out. You had the Joshua and Wilder. That's typical. And any other early call outs we could think of. But those I would probably say. I know there's one more I'm forgetting. One more call out that I wanted to discuss. Ooh, I like the call out of Jermell Charlo on Saddam Ali. That was nice. You know, without any pressure to set up a undisputed, the fighters took it upon themselves to publicly get our interest. And if now that we know that they're willing to, we're going to be backing it. We're going to pay them by ratings, by tuning in, listening to the interviews, showing them that we're interested on the web, on social media, their tweets, and whatever way to show them we're interested. Knowing that as the boxing audience knows that the fighters want to do it, they're going to stay tuned in. So now, with Hurd calling out Lara, that is great. It's a backstory call out now. It's coming out as a Hurd started the year saying he knows he could beat Lara. He's ready. You know, if Lara's ready for the fight, step up. And Lara recently said, "Be careful what you wish for." Remember, I pushed for this fight, which is true. Everyone is making a nice little, rewarding, giving Jared Hurd a lot of kudos, pats on the back for taking on Austin Trout as voluntary defense. Let's not forget, before that voluntary defense, he was called out for a unification fight by S1MAT Lara. You know, it was to say the whole thing. He called him out like, "Hey, me and Hurd's gonna be fighting," and Hurd's like, "Oh well, you guys never send us a contract," and Lara's like, "Well, then just fight us. You know, maybe we'll make the contract, fight us." And that's when Team Hurd's like, "Well, there was never no contract. They never once said we'll take the fight." You know, but if you guys remember, that's when Lara was tweeting them saying, "You know, fight me. I give you the biggest paycheck of your life. You can move out your mama's house." Remember that whole back and forth tweet? And they're like, "There's no contract." Like, that's that whole thing. But it's good to see that feud is answered again. That should be a very interesting fight. You got Hurd, who most feel is a big middleweight. Most likely should be a 168er, not a 160. Probably going to fill out to a 175 by the time his career is done. But so he uses that little advantage of sucking down, kind of like a Chavez Jr. did when his winning days. He used that size and a strength advantage and kind of bully his opponents. He's been just absorbing your shots as the bigger man, absorbing his opponent's offense, and eventually wearing him down as the heavier-handed man, and just the punches. Can you absorb his heaviness handed as he can absorb the smaller man's punches? He just walks you down. Now he wore Tony Harris out. He wore Trot Trout out, and he wore his previous opponent, but those were like his names right there that started his career. The championship bout and the first defense. Now, will he be able to do the same against Lara, who many feel is the number 1 or number 2 at the middleweight division? He fights, 1-2, maybe a body hook here and there, a 1-2, a 1-1-2. Everyone knows what Lara's going to do. He sticks, gets his points. Lara can fight in the inside. He's good. He has a good history of fighting taller opponents. He moves. Now, Hurd tracks people down, but he's always been successful at tracking people down who has to move because they can't handle his big size. So he's tracking people down who's not used to moving and fighting, whereas Lara moves and fights first, not where people fight and he's making a move. So he makes fighters uncomfortable with all the movement they're not used to. Lara will be used to all that movement, scoring points, and Hurd gives up rounds early to catch up to you, hoping you get tired and can get you. Well, like I said, and those people do get tired because they're not used to fighting in that form of moving, getting points. He's making them do it. Lara does that. So his style of you're going to get tired, that's Lara's bread and butter. And Lara has pop. He's good at points. He knows how to hold inside. So will he get caught? Will he get drained and worn down? Does Lara still have that style of fighting in him, or did his legs get a little older on him? Like I said, it's a very good clash of style. So that's a good call out right there. The movement fits. If that style, I say Hurd's what always wins for Hurd is fits for Lara. So it's a question to see did Lara age, because I see it as a easy victory for Lara, because it's Hurd style. Besides his, like I said, his worn down power, will it affect Lara? Can he not move as much? So that is one call out. Good fight. Hope it happens. And that is one of my few fights I hope to see before the first half of the year is out. That is fight number 1. Fight number 2, I would like to see it, and it has been a call out, but I don't think it's going to happen. And that is the call out of Lomachenko versus Tank Davis. I like that call out. It's been getting mixed reviews from the audience. I don't know why. Because the argument of it is, those on the pro side is it's a good fight. Tank Davis is looked upon, for those who think it is a good fight, Tank Davis is still looked upon as a champion who just wasn't professional enough to keep his belt. He's undefeated, but he lost his belt on the scale. So many still look at him as somewhat champion, even though Ogawa got his belt from Tevin Farmer. So that fight, he's looked upon as a champion in the shadows. He's there. He's the best talent without a belt for sure. And Lomachenko always said, I want to fight the best or champions. Basically, he said, I want to fight champions or I want to fight the best. He's always been doing that his whole career. It's short as hell, but he's been fighting champions, number 1s, number 2s, number 3s. He's been trying to get top-notch competition. Now, in the con, people are saying Davis has no belt. Fight a champion. Go up in weight. Prove you're something because you got labeled pound for pound. Technically, if you watch today's normal show, the lightweights, you will see how I discussed there's really nothing up there for Lomachenko to do. There's a Mikey Garcia fight. Okay, take away the champions because I guess you can fight a champion in any division, and that's something, But outside of Mikey Garcia and Hurd and Lara, those are two good fights for Lomachenko, money fights. If you want to say Robert Easter because he's a champion, myself, I think that's an easy fight. I talk about that in today's show, the regular showing of the Double RT Boxing, not Mr.A'S show, but the regular show, Mr.A'S Thought Show, just a regular Double RT Boxing, episode 2. Go support that, please. It's over an hour and a half of boxing talk. Now, like I said, by Lomachenko going up to 135, there's nothing up there. People, I believe that call out is just the angry fan. It's one of the angry fans. Boxing, it's just like any sport. You have your favorite teams, you have your favorite players, so you dislike the people who give your favorite team a hard time, give your favorite fighter a loss, and you just it's fans. It's part of what makes it great. Our sport needs to be. It needs that fanfare. But to say just go up and not really for no reason, all they ever say is Lomachenko, go up and fight Mikey Garcia. Lomachenko, go up and fight Robert Easter Jr. What else is he supposed to do up there? 2 fights and then go to 140? You're going to keep telling the man to go up? It's ridiculous. You never hear him say, they say go up and run 130. There's nothing to run at 135. Why do you think Mikey Garcia went up to get the belt at 140? There's nothing at 140 either. It just happened to be one belt, one champion. 140 has 3 vacant belts and 1 champion, Sergey Lipinets. So Mikey's like, hey, legacy fight, easy money, add to my legacy. I'll fight one of you 135 champions later. There's only 1 champion up there. That division's fucked up. This division is kind of weak, and 130 is weak. Those divisions is 1 or 2 fighters domination. Lomachenko owns 130, and there's nothing else. 135. Mikey Garcia, Linares, and if you want to throw in Easter, but all their contenders, you can't name anybody. You got a few less than like 5 names you could probably name, probably 3 people, for each one of those champions. Who, and 140, like I said, all 3 belts are vacated except for 1. So that little 130 to 140, that 10-pound thing, it needs to be ran. So the call out of Lomachenko on Tank Davis is exactly what needs to be done because the 130 division is hurting. 135, there's nothing up there for Lomachenko. There's nothing. Ooh, there's something going on over there, folks. It's good back cracking though, And when you hear noise, man, you gotta make sure your safety first. Thumbs up for safety. Thumbs up for the Double RT Boxing Show. We keep it safe and entertain banter here. So it's good that Lomachenko is making noise about a division that is, it's hurting. Burchett, yeah. But the fact that, his isn't the English barrier. It's hard for him to promote himself to, you know, the English worldwide universal crowd. So you have what, like I said, is probably considered the best fighter in the top 40 without a belt in the division of what was it, 126? I think there's, I think it's called super featherweights. I forgot the actual name, but the 126. So Lomachenko calling out easily, if not the number one looked upon as the best, top three, but he is number one. See, this is why I don't get why people are not just totally on board this call out. You got Tank Davis, possibly the best in the division without a belt, former champion who's still undefeated, lost his belt on the scales. That's two really good reasons right there. And the third excellent reason to me, Mr. A, because this is Mr. A's Thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. They say Lomachenko hasn't fought someone with speed, power, footwork, the African American style in boxing. He's been fighting the Mexican style right in front of him. If everyone thinks that style gives him trouble, or Tank Davis can do something different than, or that style that I guess Gary Russell didn't have it, just fast hands, I guess Tank Davis has the feet that Gary Russell didn't have, because Russell had fast hands. But they think, Lomachenko hasn't fought someone with the hands, the power, and the feet. Well, the only one out there similar to that right now in his division, with a style everyone thinks that will give him trouble, is Tank Davis. So it's a former champion who lost his belt on the scales. Possibly the best, if not the best, top three best in the division without a belt. And he possesses the attributes that many are interested in seeing Lomachenko face. Not a fighter in front of him. So with those three things all in the package of Gervonta Tank Davis, I don't see why this was such looked upon as a bad idea all over the internet, especially when it could be done. Now, will the money team do it? If obviously Floyd doesn't want to do it, but if the money is right, Floyd, I believe, will put you out there. His pride and joy is Bottle Jack, and if the money's out there, he's giving Bottle Jack those fights. And Bottle Jack steps up. Because if you look at Floyd Mayweather and the Money Team Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, he will, give you a nice track to a belt. But the thing is, he always gets you money fights. He finds a way to get you his fighters money fights. And I believe he will put Gervonta Davis out there if it gets enough interest. Whether Gervonta Davis wants to fight it or not, because right now, who hasn't lost to Lomachenko? It's like who hasn't lost to Mayweather. The loss won't really count unless, and I do believe, just me personally, right? Of course, it's Mr. A'S Thoughts, people. Thumbs up. Support the RRT Boxing Show. I believe Lomachenko gets an easy victory over Tank Davis. And it's not skill for skill wise. It has really nothing well, it has a part to play in it. And this is where I think Floyd is not putting Tank Davis in the ring. Not that he will lose the fight skillfully against Lomachenko. Go back to all the interviews Floyd used to say in his interviews. All the things he used to say during his interviews. And he always said, like, I beat my opponents mentally before I get in the ring. I already know. He knows Tank Davis is an emotional person. He knows he overacts. And putting him in the ring with Lomachenko, Tank Davis will get knocked out mentally within the first 2 rounds before Lomachenko really puts a game plan to knock him out physically together. He's, like I said, he has the skills and the attributes to give Lomachenko trouble. The power, the speed, it's all there. But to figure it out is going to be a difficult task. And I believe he'll get too emotionally frustrated and just get beat up. And I think Floyd knows emotionally he can't handle that game plan. Staying on a tight game plan to beat Lomachenko. It's not that Lomachenko can't be beat. You need to stay on a tight mental game plan to beat him. And my thought is Mayweather knows, at least right now in his career, boxing wise, and you see how he acts little on Twitter and the run-in with Tevin Farmer in a public place. You know, he can lose his cool. And they Gervonta Davis himself and Floyd, they let it be known about his rough upbringing in the streets. And usually a person of that character is holding back an emotional side of defense. You know, someone from the streets, they got something built up. So if they can't get something their way, sometimes they get emotionally defeated and just go into like destruction or a default mode. And Tank Davis, I believe, will just get a boxing destruction mentally and not know he'll lose it. Whether he'll just start going, locking up out of just, he'll do this typical Lomachenko opponent. And he will lock up. He will mentally get KO'd before he physically starts taking punishment. That is my thought on that call out if it ever comes to fruition. And I believe Mayweather is not making that fight happen because he knows mentally Tank Davis can't handle that fight right now. He can't hold a game plan together mentally to beat Lomachenko. Attributes are there. Holding that difficult game plan to be patient mentally, fighting that B-Storm, fighting that Matrix. That's my thoughts on that. And the call out of, like I said, that's the second fight I would like to see. I would like to see Hurd and Lara, Lomachenko, and Davis. I don't think that one's going to happen. Hurd and Lara, we have a chance for. And another fight I would like to see is me, myself. I would like to see Bradley Skeet in some type of contention fight. He did his European conquer. He conquered that level, that domestic level. That's the word I was thinking of. He conquered everything domestically he could. I would like to see Bradley Skeet fight because I think he's in like number 3 in the WBO. He should have been that. He should have been Gary Corcoran instead of in Australia versus Horn, but somehow got past him, and But I would like to see Bradley Skeet, excuse me, get some type of a bracket fight, whether it's who's a nice one. Can you figure Porter got a fight coming up? Danny got Rios. Thurman got rumored Vargas. I can't think. Does Porter got a fight come out? I would love to see Skeet and Porter. That would be fantastic. But yeah, I would just like to see Bradley Skeet get a nice someone in a very top 2, top 3. All the big names are tied up, but Bradley Skeet needs to be in this circle. And the only one right now not tied up is Sean Porter that I could think of. So fight number 4 I would like to see. It was announced, and I'm not too sure. Well, not it's been the word's been going on. I shouldn't say in the first 6 months, but I should say within the first quarter. I would like to see. I hope that the Adrian Broner and Omar Figueroa fight gets made. That is such, like I said, for Omar Figueroa, it's just, if he loses, he can always come back. Adrian Broner, he's going to catch a lot of stuff for this one. Especially, well, it really all depends if he goes into this act like no big deal. I'm bouncing back, saying all his repetitive conference delivery. And if he loses and acts the same way, like, well, doesn't matter. I lost last time and you guys still came to see me. I can lose again. Y'all still going to come to see me. If he acts like that, that will start to dry out, I do believe. But people will tune in for another 2. If he loses against Omar, they'll probably tune in for another 2 losses. But ranking-wise, I don't know what a loss like this would do to his career. People will still pay to see him lose because they just, they grown to dislike him that much. It's entertaining to dislike Adrian Broner for some. Now, as if he is, legitimately caring about the non-business side of boxing and actually doing something in boxing, a loss will affect that side, that train, might derail that train, collide on that tracks. The business side train, I think he could keep that train going for another 2 fights, regardless if he loses this fight. So I'm interested to see that fight. Omar Figueroa, being, not much known for lateral movement. He's gonna slip punches, try and catch what he can, and just bang you in the inside, hit you with the volume. The forte of what gives Adrian Broner problems. Pressure, volume. Now, what Adrian Broner use what we all been assuming he had. Now, did he just lose getting that big? I believe he started 126, something like that, 130. Adrian Broner, he jumped up four division champion. So he's 140, 147. He was never a 147 champion. So 140, 35, 30, 26. So if that is true, is it 4-time champion or 4 division? I think it's, 4-time champion still, but Oh, I thought it was 4 division. So that will be. Did his speed? His speed is there, but the ability to fight like he used to, or is it just Adrian Broner just lost it mentally for concentration? Because he punches fast, but he gasses out. Then he punches fast. He's like a he's the South, well not South. He's the African American style of Canelo. Canelo, you know, speed, power. It's not the feet work, but he's getting better at the feet work. But the fighting styles are same. Canelo fights in speedy bursts. Adrian Broner speedy bursts. Sometimes they don't throw. Canelo, it's because he's kind of gassing. Adrian Broner, it seems like he's fine. He just doesn't throw. So interesting to see, will Adrian Broner be in shape, throw enough punches to keep Omar Figueroa off him. Very interesting to see how that comes out. So, what other fight is out there that I would like to be seen? So we got the call out of Hurd and Lara. I want to see that fight. Lomachenko and Tank Davis, that call out, I want to see that fight. What else in the first quarter is I want to see? It's not a call out, but I want to see Bradley Skeet in a big fight that's not a domestic fight. I want to see what we just mentioned. My eyeball. I forgot what we just mentioned. Had a brain fart. Yikes, that's sad. Now, yeah, the Broner or Omar Figueroa. I want to see that fight. That is 4. And the 5th fight I want to see in the first quarter is and it has a very good chance of happening. The call out is the Wilder and Ortiz. I am interested. I'm very interested in that fight. I believe everyone is. As much as I want to see the Parker and AJ fight, I'm not. My ears aren't perked up. My boxing attention, is not as perked up as the 4 fights I previously mentioned. Lara Hurd, Lomachenko Tank, Bradley Skeet and somebody. This is Mr.A'S thoughts. Not saying that Bradley Skeet is a greater entertainment than Joshua and Parker. Just what I want to see. You can leave down some of your comments. What 5 fights you want to see within the first quarter of the year. Let it be known. So I want to see the Joshua fight. I want to see the Wilder versus Ortiz fight over the Joshua. Just because I figure this has a little more animosity to it. It just has the feeling of it's going to be a banger, some heavy hitting. While Joshua Parker, somewhere in that fight, there's going to be some movement, some boxing. You expect it, And you're thinking Ortiz is pissed off. He's always saying Wilder talk shit, talking bullshit. He wants to go out there and prove something and knock Wilder out. Wilder's been talking a lot, saying he's going to knock him out, And even if it's not complete knockout, is Wilder going to show something like the next level type thing? Is he going to move around the ring, swift on his feet, jabbing inside and out, back foot jabbing. Then when it comes in, bow, knock Ortiz out, something we never seen? Like, whoa, Wilder did that nice? Or is it going to be the typical 1-2, 1-2, and he still knocks Ortiz out? Or is it going to come Ortiz going to be, back to the Ortiz that was getting everyone a little worrisome, the big Cuban fast on his feet, inside and out, 1-2, body working and hooking, knocking people out. Those heavy hits, will he unleash Deontay Wilder? Will he just, get inside that power, work the body, knock knock Deontay around the ring and eventually drop him and knock him out. You know, would it always be said like, hey, Deontay Wilder is good, but if you could box, he's flawed. You could get inside him. Will we see something like that? Power versus power. The animosity that these guys are gonna deliver some hits on each other. You figure these guys are gonna go out more trying to bang each other than Joshua and Parker. Not up until this fight, to me, the way the social media took place, this whole Joshua and Parker thing, that whole negotiations, blah, 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 it was quiet. You didn't hear nothing. Then once the Wilder and Ortiz fight was really starting to say, yeah, it's being negotiated, we're just trying to really finalize the location, that's when you start hearing Joshua saying how he wants to knock out Parker, and Parker wants to test his chin, is going to knock him out. They got to show more interest in that Wilder and Ortiz, because everyone knows, dude, that's a chance. Those fools are going to fight. Parker and Joshua should be a good boxing little brawl. You're thinking Ortiz Wilder, you're thinking a heavyweight fight. So I want to see that heavyweight fight that it's seemingly drawn up to be. It's building up to be just a heavyweight fight. Someone's getting knocked out. But Joshua and Parker is not hyping up to be that. It's a nice heavyweight boxing. So I want to see that heavyweight fight. So those are the 5 fights I want to see. Hurd and Lara, I like that call out. Lomachenko and Tank Davis, I like that call out. Will the fight happen? I don't think so. Not in the first quarter, at least. Third fight I want to see, no call out, nothing out there, but I want to see Bradley Skeet in a big non-domestic fight. Fight number 4, it's been talked about, was Broner and Omar Figueroa. I want to see that fight. Can Broner finally prove that there is no code for his style? Fight number 5, the call out between Deontay Wilder and Ortiz going back and forth, finally answered. Hope that fight just nothing falls apart on it, And like I said, and that is that. And like there was the call out of Lomachenko on Mikey Garcia, Victor Lomachenko. It's more of a just briefly talked about. I believe that fight, I talked about that in today's episode. If you want to know my opinions on the whole Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia, after this episode of Mr.A'S thoughts, go check out the RT Boxing Show, and you'll find out my thoughts on Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia and that whole talk. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show. I am your host, Mr. A of the RT Boxing Show. It's ready, talk boxing. Catch you on the next one. Thumbs up, people. Appreciate the support.